Hello there, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Let's Draw with Legacy 717 Studios. Now, in this series that I produce, I like to showcase like a time lapse of all the projects I've been working on, different art, different things from coloring, whatever. But today is a special episode because I have my good buddy Big Man here to go over his art. And that was one of the things I've been wanting to do, to show other unsung artists so y'all can see what they go through and their process and their thinking instead of just shamelessly promoting myself. But anyway, I'm going to let Big Man take over and let him tell you who he is and what he's all about.
What's going on, y'all? My name is Mark. Alright, call me Big Mark. I'm pretty much born with the talent to draw, you know. I'm from Chattanooga, Tennessee, baby, representing, you know. So, straight 10. And, you know, country bumpkin, born from the South, man, FBA, man. So, we making it do what it do. Been an artist for a long time. Been on anime for a long time. So, you know, art is one of the studies and interests in life that I have. You know, see, I'm a professional truck driver by day. I drive big trucks by day. I love driving. I love driving big trucks. But my two interests in life are art and martial arts. So, been dealing with boxing for 20 years, and you know, been studying because that's my part. That is my fighting style of choice, base fighting style of choice. But I studied other things. But
now, does that influence your art and stuff too? The things
of course, dealing with how, you know, because I love drawing warriors and drawing, you know, combat and things like that. That's one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah, because you're a concept artist, right?
Yes, I am. That is my official tag when I talk to people, is that I am a concept artist. That's what I tell
Right.
them.
And if you're seeing on the screen right now, you'll see some of his work that for one of his characters that he's designed and everything. So tell him a little bit about this character.
All right, so pretty much dealing with what I do, my strength is I have ideas and I like to put them down on paper. So, and one thing that you have to do as an artist, you have to have a portfolio. That's one of the rules. If you don't have a portfolio, you don't have a way to showcase and show people your work. You can't just have your art pieces up, you know, go here, you know. So you can have one to where you have on social media where your portfolio is there, or you can carry one. So this is a design that I wanted to do in order to show my range of ideas that I have. And one thing that what you can do is you choose a subject. So this piece right here is dealing with demons, right? Base form demon, demon soldier, whatever you want to do. And the top line is form 1 and form 2. And when you're creating something, when I have an idea, I like to make sure that I have it within the structure of art, right? Mm-hmm. Composition,
right?
Line work, color, and, you know, light and light theory and light form, right? So, but when you're just doing concept art, which is what I like about concept art, is all you want to do is convey the idea.
Right.
You don't have to have everything completely flushed out, which is the beauty of it.
Right. That's what I was saying in my last stream about just the beauty of creating and just seeing where your imagination takes you, right?
Right.
And just keep going with it and go until you find that little happy place between what you love about it and what you don't like about it, kind of thing, and what works and what doesn't.
Right.
So yeah.
So dealing with this one, this is just dealing with the conveying of the idea, because of course you have the copy, you know, body thing, and so it's all about having different ideas dealing with the forms. Mm-hmm. When I convey, we're dealing with the shapes that are in his chest, and dealing with the different influences of you know, different shapes. Mm-hmm. And different features that are on the subject, right?
Right. So is this like the first form you would see like in a video game or in an animation is what you were thinking, and it's like different types, and it would transfer over like when it upgraded? Is what you're going with?
Yes.
Okay.
Not necessarily in a video game.
Okay, not necessarily in a video game.
just more so in the character, right?
The character itself. Okay.
Because you can place it anywhere. Because see, the idea was to create a creature, and how I thought about it is, now this might be a little crazy, but I thought about it, if I was a demon king and I wanted to create my own little demon clone soldiers, all right? Because clone soldiers, clone armies, things like that, that is a very, very, I would say very interesting way in order to have and build an army, because dealing with traditional, about dealing with Earth, is all about drafting people's sons and daughters.
Right. Well, with the clone army too, it saves you time you can only have to add a couple of different things and it's still recognizable, and that kind of like robotic army too.
Right, like a robot army. Like a robot army
right.
is pretty much a clone army, but it's mechanical.
So these are like the whole different forms of somebody controlling.
Somebody that controlling
That's
it.
cool.
So,
I mean, I really like the one on the Form 2 down the third one to the right with the little kind of spore type thing.
Yeah, spore, because that's
cool.
what it was going to be.
Yeah.
Because, of course, I'm very heavy. I was raised Baptist. I was raised in church. So, it's almost like a 4 horsemen type of thing when I did this.
Okay. So that kind of
okay. In order to, because that's how I thought about it. It was like, okay, I got a clone army. Bam.
So are you happy with how these turned out?
I am happy with how they turned out, because one thing that makes me happy about dealing with when I do my art is, first of all, if I can get the structure right, everything else will fall into place.
Right.
So I don't try to be perfect with line. I don't try to make sure everything is within the lines when I color or when I shade. I just try to make sure everything is structured, like dealing with the forms, you see them, dealing with how light and shadow falls on it. Yes. Very, very happy with how this turned out.
Right.
Very, very happy.
See, and like I said, like on my last stream, guys, when I was talking about, like, this is totally different. Like, you guys hear me talk about, I'm more line heavy, I'm more contour, that's what I see. So there's all kinds of different approaches on how you can handle things. Let's go to a couple of your other ones you wanted to show. You said there was a story behind this one, so I want to hear about this.
Now, there's a story behind this one, okay? You can see me. I put a lot of, I like drawing in sketchbooks. Single page is fine, drawing digital page is fine, but I like sketchbooks, especially ones that I can put in my pocket, So this right here, I like to come up with characters. So the influence was, I was like, all right, I wanted to draw something where there was, because the thing is, I'm developing my own story myself, right? And this is a character that pretty much came into my mind. The reason why he's set up like that is because he is actually the void that the swords are in.
Oh, okay.
This is yes. All right. So, and the thing is, the void is a living entity, right? And what it does, this character here creates your perfect sword, your perfect weapon. And the thing in the story that I have is, you walk in to this, past this door, and it's just a dark, dark void, right? And this is what you see. And what is it? Is it Bleach? I got the idea from Bleach when the boy was finding his sword.
Oh, okay.
And
I haven't seen Bleach.
Yeah, I haven't. Okay, And when he was first trying to find a sword, I think the story goes to where the spirit that gives him his power took him somewhere into like a whole nother universe, and they were actually fighting, right? And he's like, you have to find your perfect sword.
Oh, okay.
Right? And so they went, in a field of swords. Every sword that he took, he broke. It's like that the guy that was fighting him.
Right.
right? That's what it was. At the same time, it was training him though.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, it was training.
It was training him. Every time he picked up a sword, and then he was picking up this one, it's too off balance.
So that was kind of the idea behind
this guy. Now the funny story is, how Regis is. He's big and he's over the top. Especially he can match my energy with that.
Right.
So he was looking at it. He's like, "Oh my God, I love this dude." I mean, with the drawing and the bear and with the dreadlock beard, and I can think about it. He's like, "What?" They go in there, and I told him that idea.
Yeah.
And he's like, "I can think about it," because he's like, this entity is like, "You need your blade," and then it's like, you pick it out, and it's
I could just picture.
Take your blade, and then the blade is glowing, and it's with the whole. With the whole pointing,
right,
of that ceiling, with with this that's the sword god.
Oh my
and it's
God!
yeah.
So, to give you guys a backstory about that, who he's speaking is, it's Regis from Mark 5 Illustrations. He's one of our other cohorts that I have. Good friend and everything, just like Big Man here.
Shameless plug.
Right, famous plugs. Well, that's part of this. But yeah, he's the guy I mention a lot on my streams about being one of the best colorists I've ever met, who is actually colorblind. But yeah, y'all think I'm over the top. He's great.
But that's what it was. It was a story. It's like I was full joke, and imagine like a sword appearing, for every.
So it's kind of the guardian entity, kind of like a Hephaestus type thing. I can't remember the name. Hephaestus is what I'm thinking.
Hephaestus, the Greek god.
Right, you're forging all these
the forge god.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, so tell us a little bit about this one.
Okay, now this one right here, this is my favorite, one of my favorite pages in the sketchbooks that I have. Now, one art influence that I have is graffiti art and psychedelic art. I love the colors, and then dealing with graffiti artists on how they can incorporate the stretch design,
the exaggeration.
The exaggeration.
Kind of like Eon Flux's artist, where he exaggerated things a little bit. Yeah.
Yes, and then the deep colors and the colors that psychedelic art and graffiti art has.
Mm-hmm.
And because one thing it is, I used to draw boring stuff when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
No coloring anything, because I really wasn't good at it. So I had to get good at it. And the art form that stuck out to me was psychedelic art and graffiti art.
Right.
And
your style does have a lot of those influences. I mean, you can tell just by looking at it.
Yes.
So.
And one of my favorite movies to watch is Heavy Metal. And Heavy Metal 2000, and dealing with the art that comes in that magazine.
Right. So,
like dealing with the artists like Rob Liefeld, dealing with those type of artists.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the reason why I have it. And that's not the only picture, like the one that's on the left. That is not the only picture that is made like that. I actually have a series that I'm gonna put out for like t-shirts later when I come up is plug in.
Yeah. Okay.
And I wanted to make everything is like robotic and cybernetic, because I'm a type of dude. I embrace the future, y'all. I embrace the future. Change, upgrading. AI doesn't scare me, right? None of this stuff scares me,
Mm-hmm.
So. My perfect society, I would love a solar punk society.
Solar punk
I would love a solar punk society.
Lord. Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Well, let's so tell me about this one.
Okay. Now, one thing about me is a niche is although I'm a big dude, I'm into athletics. And gosh, I wish. One of the bad things in life, I wish I grew up, I wish I had some type of body, but I don't. But
you stood a big man.
Yeah, I know. I still live.
Right.
I live and I work out.
Right.
Which is cool.
But diversity is a good thing.
But I like drawing warriors. You know, I like drawing warriors and different types of things. And
I don't think they noticed that.
combat sports is one of my favorite things.
Right.
Although I love football. Football Sundays don't bother me.
Right.
But I like combat sports. Combat sports are my favorite things. I love drawing warriors and things. So, and going back to the whole color theory and shading and trying to find my own style. In this book right here, this book is one of the many books that I actually not only I binded that book, filled that book. All right, that was actually dealing with COVID first started.
Oh wow! So this goes back, yeah, because you had told me too, like you said, you had made your own sketchbooks.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that, and not going out and buying it, but to have the art talent to go out and think, I'm going to put my own book together, and fill it up with a whole bunch of art.
Yes, that's what I do. I like binding my own sketchbooks, and the thing is, oh my gosh, when COVID happened. Both of us were working security.
I think so. I think we were both in like a security.
Yeah,
we were both.
Yeah, we both had day jobs.
Yeah,
being an artist,
right?
Especially when it's not, when you're trying to make your own way and not be in the industry, you struggle.
Right. When you're doing everything independent, you still gotta pay the bills.
Yeah, you gotta have day jobs. But me, I take advantage of the situation. Dealing with COVID, I was literally working security in this building that had nobody in it.
Right.
And you're talking about office supplies. They got pens, paper, paper clips, anything that you really could need.
They were letting you use. And
letting me. Yeah, they were letting me. Letting me use.
Do not endorse that.
Okay.
Do not endorse that.
They were letting me use it.
So basically, you were just taking advantage, because I was doing the same, not taking things, but I was like, when I was on the site somewhere, even though I could only do like 5 minutes of drawing or whatever, or I was writing a little bit. Like you remember that huge series Bible that's over here in the corner, that's right. It's like a year's worth. Like real quick, just to let y'all know, this is like what we're talking about. This is a whole series. So this is a year's worth of just using the time that I had available to me. And when I was doing it, and as what Big Man's referring to is, and I've said this before on some of my streams and stuff, where use the time that you have. If you can only get 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or whatever, then do that. It will add up.
I was lucky enough to where it was hours on end, and I would, didn't necessarily have a smartphone with internet at the time.
Right.
So
you
there was, but I did not at the time, but then of course I got a phone, stuff got together because, everybody got money during COVID, right?
Right.
So dealing with this, especially dealing with this piece in the sketchbook, I'm trying to get myself polished with highlights and shadows and cast shadows and forms and shapes and trying to make sure this is convey 3D space on 2D platform,
So this was done, like you said, a pen. I mean, what tools were you using?
Okay, what I was using is the I had Prismacolor markers, or I think I had it was Arteza markers.
Mm-hmm.
No. I take that back. That's watercolor and ink pen.
Oh,
watercolor, ink pen, and color pencil.
Oh, okay. I see a little bit of the color pencil, but I didn't realize
the color. Yeah.
Okay. On the left, I see a little bit of the watercolor now. Yeah. But I would thought that was markers.
Yeah. No.
That's nice.
Watercolor.
So watercolor is
those
hard
are watercolor. To use. I use a pen in order to get my line work.
Okay.
The dealing with the highlights. That's actually it's a white. Color pencil, but it's a charcoal pencil.
Oh, okay.
Right,
okay.
White color charcoal pencil.
Right.
And then dealing with the energy or the smoke that's coming up from the open chest is white watercolor.
Gotcha.
So I want to. Cool. Yeah, because
I wouldn't have known that unless you just said that. So, interesting. So this piece that you did, this was for a client.
Yeah,
right?
That was for a customer. Because since I'm a concept artist, one thing that I'm really strong at is doing logos and, you know, advertising stuff. So this is for a gentleman who owned his own barbershop, and he called it 3 Finger Cuts because dealing with his hand, that's his actual hand. His hand actually looks like that because he was born with a birth defect.
Right.
Okay.
And then he embraced that.
He embraced that.
Right.
He embraced that. So I was like, he's like, I wanted to incorporate my hand and things like that. And so I took a picture of his clippers. Now he's a gentleman that, you know, he's a barber. He gets his money. Barbers get money. If you're a barber and you're not getting money, you're not a good barber. All right. So he had his own custom clippers and everything, and you know, and
so he had the 3 on the clippers.
No, I had the no.
Oh, that was something you added.
Yeah, that was something that I added.
Oh, okay.
And the 3, the hand, dealing with even how he had the ring on that one.
Right.
So.
Oh yeah, because he did have that ring. Right.
Yeah, he had the ring.
That's cool.
And so I was like, okay, you want to incorporate your hand in there. And so, of course, dealing with having the talent of coming up with ideas and things.
Right.
I was like, I like your clippers. So I took a picture of his hand with the clippers right here to get a reference picture. Right.
Right.
He held his hand. I put the clipper right here where you can see it. Took a picture facing down. And all the other elements, you know, I pretty much just threw together.
Right.
You know, the barber pole, the crown.
And you did the font by hand
and
too,
the font,
right?
Yeah. Because I was like, man, what am I gonna do about this font? So in order for me to give a reference point, I looked up a website that actually had a bunch of fonts that wasn't on the computer. Because, unfortunately, boy, you know, being broke, man. Being broke.
I understand. You come up with creative solutions, right?
Yeah, you come up with creative solutions in order to get your reference picture. So
plus,
all I had was at the phone. I didn't necessarily have a laptop, you know, in order to go digital.
Right.
So I would have to use like real old school techniques.
Right. I mean, but that's the good thing about being able to do that and know that, because if you're not strict, well, it's just also too, like I did a font based off all the stuff that he was showing me, because he's really good with fonts and graffiti. And I did a font for a client that literally did it by hand too and digitally, but that also way too, they didn't have to pay, because so this client here wouldn't even have to pay for a font. Yeah, it's his font, so it's not like it could be copied. You know, it's a little bit imperfect, so it's enough where you can get through it. Right. Let's
go back to that.
Oh, go back to it.
Go back to it. I'm sorry. That's the one thing I wanted to say.
Sure.
Because in order to get it scanned, so he could put it on his business card or any kind of poster, I would take it to the library. So it would only cost like $1 to get it scanned.
Oh yeah, because you didn't have a scanner.
Yeah, and then we'll see. One thing that about digital art is your perfections will show. So it did, like dealing with the discoloration of the font and everything. It'll really show. Like that didn't show up on the actual paper when I drew it
until you scanned it.
Until I scanned it.
Yeah.
Like, oh wow.
Yeah, because you can see.
So and dealing with it being 2019, 2020, things like that, is I knew I had to get my dollars up or work hard to save up to go to a digital platform.
Right. But instead of allowing that to, as I said before, instead of allowing that to defeat you, even though it does feel, it's very frustrating, and we both have gone through, we know other artists have gone through stuff like this, that you just do what you can, and you keep going, you keep doing every piece and get better as you go along. And this is how you learn. Like you didn't know you couldn't, it would pop up, but that's okay, because if you needed to, if you wanted to or chose to, you can always go back over it, and go back over it. If that's one good thing about at least having scans of stuff. But yeah, let's go ahead and do, tell me about this one. This is one of my favorite ones of his.
Okay, yeah, now this right here is when I first got my digital pass. And for a long time, I did not want to go digital because I have to look at what I'm drawing. And with the first digital pads, I don't want to be like
like me with the Wacom I have to do all the time, looking at the television. It is different.
I don't know where my pen is on the paper.
Right. It is an interesting transition.
Yeah, so the tablet monitors to where you could actually draw on them, you know, they were very, very expensive at the time. And as soon as one came where it was affordable, I bought one. $200 on Amazon. It's the Huion.
Yeah, you got the Huion.
I got a Huion. So, and that was the actual one of the first pieces that I did. So, of course, that's my style, dealing with the style that I have, especially dealing with the polished one. Very easy to animate, you know, because dealing with I'm not that good with the line art in order to make it like really comic book, you know.
Well, you got more of a painter.
Yeah, you're right. It's more painted. And,
I mean, it's not like mine. Or like I said before, it's not so line heavy, but it would be easy. Like, you know, we've experimented with this before. I could go over ink some of this or thicken out the lines, but then it would be a different piece too, because it always changes every time every time you put ink on something or color on something, the piece changes all the time. So yeah,
right. So this is a version of him, right? Where he's an elemental demon, and so this is one of my first, you know, digital art pieces that I did. I was like, let me go on ahead and just go all out instead of just scribbling on it, because dealing with the first, you know, dealing with the demon soldiers,
right.
That's one of the first digital pieces that I was working on too.
So was that after this one or before this one?
That was after this one.
After this one. So this was
one of the first ones. Yeah.
So what was it like to go from traditional to digital?
Man, I love it. It's so easy because it makes it a whole lot easier in order for you to get it right. Because one of the modes that I drew in when I was doing this piece was that mirror. You know,
where you can mirror both sides.
You can mirror both sides. You draw on one side
and then flip it and it copy and paste it.
Yeah, like, you know, your pen is drawn on one side, and it's doing the same thing.
You're talking about that. See, I've never done it. What I do, like I was showing on that No Man's Sky, I had the helmet. Yeah. And I drew in half of the helmet, and since it was so precise and technical, I copied and pasted and flipped it. Right. So I wouldn't have to.
It's easier. There's a drawing mode on it. I can't think about it now because I've been doing a lot of sketchbook work.
Right, so you haven't been
lately.
This work, right.
But it's like a mirror, you know, if you know it, you know, for somebody that's a digital artist, you probably know what I'm talking about.
Right. Feel free to put it in the comments because, you know,
but yeah,
I know what you're talking about. I can't remember the name.
You'll draw on one side of it and it'll mirror what you're drawing.
Okay.
And because
I didn't know that.
If you look, it's like an asymmetrical type of thing.
Okay.
Because if you look, everything is lined up except for the background.
Yeah,
I see.
See, I first, if you hadn't mentioned that though, I wouldn't even known that you had done that. It wouldn't have been so precise, but you did make some adjustments. I can see you erased some parts out, cleaned some things up.
But as far as the structure goes, that's pretty much how I did it.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, as I'm looking at it up on the big screen, I'm still satisfied with it. Of course, I would like to take some more time in order to go deeper, like bring out the shadows and the form a little bit more, because it's still, although I have some highlights and some form in there, it's still kind of flat.
Right.
And
because you're never satisfied, right?
Right, never satisfied with it. I would like to take it, you know, if I was to redo this piece a whole lot more, a lot better, I would add more perspective, because see, this piece was before my mind switched to where I started drawing more so to where it's in a 3D environment where something's coming at you with, you know,
foreshortening
a lot.
So the illusion of it being
making it a whole lot more dynamic, because that's what I figured out. That's what I was missing.
Okay,
because one of the guys that I follow in order to get my art knowledge from is Feng Zhu. Feng Zhu worked on Star Wars. You know, Feng Zhu worked on, you know, famous games. And,
right.
World of Warcraft or something like that, I think. Right. And he owns his own like studio. That's one thing that I would love to do. I don't care if I'm 65 years old. I get a bunch of money to where I got the time. I'm going to take his, you know, he's got a really, really intense college course to where you go there for about a year and a half. But when you come out, your art,
Right.
so much more art skill. But the thing is, I watch some of the videos and how he talks about it and how he thinks about it to where I can still improve.
Right.
Like
I mean, you get what you can. And
yeah.
Then, but it's just like everything else. Like you were talking about studios. And that's why I tell you guys as dreamers, I mean, everybody's at different levels, every different opportunities, unfortunately. But that doesn't mean that you cannot find a way to get to where you want to be. And that you should still keep going. Because like I said before, art is a journey. It's a life's journey. And no matter how far you get, like you were just talking about, you're happy with it, but you're not happy. It's like you're always happy when you're doing it. You ever notice that? Like you're happy when you're drawing it, and you're like, this is cool. And then you go back the next day and you go, I hate this.
It can be like that.
So, all right. So let's finish up with, you tell them about Mr. Ryu here.
Yeah, no, Ryu is one of my favorite characters in Street Fighter. He's not the favorite character. You know, my favorite character is Akuma. Akuma is my favorite character, but dealing with, Ryu, of course, since he's the center of everything, is, you can't help but to give him his respect. Now, just like I said, I wanted to draw. Now, this piece right here was done a little bit, like years earlier, because I noticed that a lot of my drawings and stuff were flat and boring. So, and I wanted to incorporate more graffiti art, more psychedelic art into my art in order to, make it my own style.
Right.
So that's why you have it. Of course, I like to, in order to help me think of ideas, I like to cross up universes like they did with the Amalgam universe.
Oh yeah, the mashup type thing.
The mashup stuff. So, like this is my version if Ryu was in Dragon Ball Z universe.
Oh, I see. Okay, I see what you're saying now.
Especially with the screaming and the whole building of the key and everything.
Right. Scream till it works.
Yeah, scream till it works. Scream, constipate yourself until it,
Right, give yourself a hernia in the
power.
Yeah,
oh gosh. Which is why I loved Whis when Whis came into the picture. Of like Dragon Ball Super.
Right.
Gave them another way in order to do that because
what are you doing?
Oh my gosh, especially with that DBZ game.
Right.
When it came out, when you was like, let's constipate. Let's squeeze some turds on it.
Oh man, I still love Dragon Ball. I mean, there's so many influences that come. Like I've been influenced. I know you have from Akira's stuff and everything too. And Fist of the North Star too. You want to get really crazy?
Yeah.
Go to Fist of the North Star. Oh my lord! Talking about crazy powers.
Crazy powers.
Right. With Rao on the horse, fighting on the horse. I mean,
and the sound effects.
I know, right?
Classic.
Oh my goodness! They did that with Bison recently in Street Fighter 6. I believe I saw a trailer when they were releasing Bison or something a while back where he was on the horse.
Yeah, on the horse.
I was like, what's this, Rao? What the hell?
Yeah, for real, it's Rao. But what they got that from, though?
No, where did they get that from?
The old Street Fighter movie.
Oh, that's right. No,
there's a painting. That they had with Bison riding a horse.
Oh my goodness, I have undownloaded that from my memory.
Yeah.
Kind of like Highlander 2, it don't exist. It never happened.
See, because when I go down the social media rabbit hole, I go down the rabbit hole of information.
Right.
And dealing with how deep you can go because it's like, there can be Easter eggs and connections to stuff, especially dealing with, that's how a lot of directors and artists put their mark on certain things.
Right. I think we've hit a few Easter eggs and things and stuff over the years as well.
Yeah.
I know I do. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this piece, I mean, is this something you're considering going back to? Or
No. I'm happy with it, dealing with how it is.
With just the way it is.
Yeah, with the way it is. Because one thing that you have to realize is that you have to be satisfied with that. That's where you work. That's the level that you work. So, to a certain point, you have to stop.
Right. And move on to the next one.
Move on to the next. Especially if you want to make sure you live and you have a balanced life. So, of course, there's a lot of times to where I have anxiety looking at the page.
Right.
You know, I have failed a couple of times. Like one big failure that I really do want to make up for is I had a chance to showcase my talent and I bombed out. You know, you remember when I was working with that Glass Street organization, right?
Right.
Okay, because see, I like to do a lot of community work too when I'm able. So, they had it to where they were showcasing artists doing some things while they were putting on a show, dealing with how they had food on Glass Street, right?
Right.
You know, trying to revitalize the neighborhood over there and get businesses, which they did.
Right.
So I'm very happy. And, you know, she asked me to showcase and do some work out there. And I totally bombed out. I literally stood there for like 2 hours and just, you know how I know there was a certain time in your life to where when you first started drawing, you know, you drawing on computer paper, right? You start drawing and then nothing ever turns right. You throw that piece of paper away. Throw it away. You draw it.
Right.
I did that in front of a lot of people, and
see, I didn't know that.
I couldn't. Yeah, I didn't tell anybody because that's something that I'm very, very embarrassed about. Is because one thing you have to understand, people, you're only going to get 1 or 2 shots in life. You're only going to be given 1 or 2 shots in life. Not too many people are actually talented enough to where they can create opportunities for themselves. A lot of folks try and they fail. You know, me, I'm a competitive guy, which is the reason why I always try to get better.
Right.
And I hate it when I fail.
Right. I think that's true for all of us. I mean, especially in art in general. Like, you know my story, and I've stated it here on videos before where I went to the Joe Cuber School in '97, and I was so excited. I was in this premier art school, but I hadn't put in the time or the dedication, and I failed. And I came home with my head between my legs, and I didn't draw for 3 years.
Right.
But like in your case too, I would say, and as we've been growing together as creators through the years, you know, there are those moments that you fail, that you mess up, but instead of letting it stop you, you know, you take that negative, as you were doing, like you're saying, and turn that into a positive, regardless of what comes along. So I think it's what, or at least unless I'm not stating it correctly.
You're stating it correctly, but it's like one truth that's like really, really hard to admit. It's like in life, it's got to be worth doing. There have been times where I wanted to quit because I'm like, damn, you know, you don't want to struggle. You don't want to struggle.
Right.
You don't want to struggle.
No. You do all this work, you're pushing so hard, you want someone to pay attention, you want someone to give you an opportunity, and then you feel even more bad when you mess up an opportunity, or when that opportunity doesn't come and you're working and you feel like no one's paying attention.
Right. And you know, and the thing is, you want to make the money. When it comes down to, you know, I know you don't like it, but when it comes down to the politics of it, right? You know, when I say that, I mean that as a euphemism, is like for the ecosystem of it,
right?
The ecosystem
classes
of
and
being an
everything
artist,
classified,
right. So you can't get a job unless you have the skills. We didn't necessarily have the skills because we didn't have the money to invest,
right?
And you know, this equipment costs money. It wasn't cheap at the time. Now it is. Now it's
right.
more affordable.
More affordable than it was before. You struggle through all that. Yeah.
Right. And some days you just hate me, like, man, we were born too early. You know, it's like we were born too early. We didn't necessarily have the connections, you know, didn't have the skills, and you know, when you're not prepared for the reality of it, it can get bleak because it's there was one time when I was on camera and I'm thinking nobody's listening to me, and I actually broke down. You know? So You got people that tell you to keep going and keep, doing your thing and stuff like that. But you have to realize that everybody's got their own struggle, and people are not going to be there to pat you on the back and tell you all this good stuff. You literally have to be self-motivated, competitive, and you have to have drive, especially if you want to break through.
Right. And that's the thing too, is like another reason why, why I started doing these social media things and trying to encourage people. But it still comes down to, like you just said, you have to push yourself. You have to go through all the pitfalls, all the failures, all the screw ups, and keep pull your pants up and keep on going.
Keep going.
And that's hard. It really is. And especially for artists, and when you go through a regular job all day and you're struggling to get by.
Right.
What would be, in closing, we'll wrap up, what would be your advice to artists right now that have gone through what you've gone through? Or how you feel thinking? What would you tell them?
What would I tell an
or
artist?
Tell yourself? Or what do you do to get through that?
Okay, what I would tell artists, nowadays, if they really wanted to be successful at their craft, is you got to recognize the truth dealing with the day that we're in. You're not going to be unskilled labor. You're not going to survive with unskilled labor. You're going to have to learn the 3D. You're going to have to learn the digital art programs. You're going to have to learn this stuff, especially if you want somebody to pay you in order to do that. And then you actually have to go to where the industry is. And unfortunately, that's where the industry is in that model, whether you're an architect, whether you're an animator, whether you are a concept artist, you have to have that. But let's say you don't. The other path is you don't, and you only have like a specific, you're still just drawing on paper. If you don't want to work for anybody, you're gonna have to come up with your own idea and put your money behind that. Take the money that you work from your day job, and put it into your art, right? In order to survive, you're gonna have to serve somebody. You can be a concept artist. You can put your art in other different ways. Like me, in order to survive, what I would do to survive is I would do concept art for people, dealing with logos and things like that. But not only that, I can customize shoes. I can customize computer consoles and gaming consoles and things like that.
You find other means
in order to put your art into. Like, although I wasn't, rich or affluent or anything, I would go to my day job and I could still make a few, few extra dollars in order to make sure I'm comfortable. Where I'm not super struggling.
Right.
So, if I had, if I would do it all over again, man, start when you're young, when you're in your parents' roof to where you're making money. This is the good thing about art is if you have the talent and you have the drive, you don't have to be an adult in order to make money at this. You really don't. You really, really don't. So, YouTube University, Skillshare, dealing with that, you can, that's what I would do. If I could tell myself, I would go back to when I was 13,
and just putting in more time.
Then,
do you feel like now that as an artist now, with that knowledge, that since you are putting in the time and stuff, now, that it's still going to pay off in the end?
Oh, it can absolutely pay off, especially now, because like I said, I feel like we were born too early, man. Mm-hmm. If we would have had these tools that we have dealing with affordable cameras, and computers that that are affordable, that you can really do some really good work on, yeah, man, there would have been no limit.
Right. Well, I mean,
I would have invested the real time in order to come up with
it. So it's a matter of priorities and stuff, and as a growth as an artist, as a individual, we have to go through so many things and stuff. And like I said before, guys, I'm always out here telling you to keep chasing after your creative passions, whether that's art, music, whatever you're into, even if it's just on a hobby. But I don't want to lie to you. about how hard it is to get out there. You should always enjoy what you're doing. You should love what you're doing. You still love what you're doing, even though
I still love what I'm doing.
So you hold on to that and you keep going forward. I mean, that's what I've always been saying. And yeah, this is real. This is some of the things that different artists go through. And like he said, I know people feel like too, like, well, you're just out here promoting. You're just trying to get people to do things. But this is one of the reasons why. This is why I wanted y'all to see other artists that you've never heard of, so you can see what it's like, to go through. And, hopefully you'll get something out of this. Hopefully it will help you on your own artistic journey, as always. And thank you for coming by.
Absolutely.
And make sure you check out Big Man on Savaro Media. I'll put links and stuff in the comments. And I'll be curious about you guys' thoughts. As always, my friends, be good to each other and never stop dreaming. And get out there and do some art. You see, they're always laughing at me. Get out there and do art.
Okay, see, it already looks better.
Oh, yeah.
It already looks better.
Just turning it up.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Wow.
Because I've watched...
you see that glorious brown skin you got going brown.
Yeah, man, I'm a cinnamon toast dude. Because, that's what one of the colors...